Today I have Juan with me, and we are looking at Would You Rather? And I've got some deep and thoughtful and challenging questions for you today. So, Juan, would you rather share the good news with Paul or bring hope with Isaiah?
Gosh, how long do I have? Yeah, I think that sharing the good news with Paul would have been an incredible experience. Obviously walking around town with a prophet like Elijah would have just been, something incredible. But walking with Paul with his Jewish insight of what it meant to be a Jew, and then his transformation and 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 revelation of the gospel that would have happened to him, and his insight and revelation that he would have had would have been just something incredible. So yeah, I think that walking around with Paul, preaching with him, would have been something amazing, really.
Yeah, I can almost see that you're there with him as you are sharing your answer. So, would you rather witness Jesus's birth or his resurrection?
Ooh, another one. Challenging. But I think that the resurrection will have to be the one, isn't it? I mean, being able to walk with the disciples in the tomb as they did, and when I read it, sometimes it's just like it's really difficult for us to put ourselves in our shoes, if it makes sense, because to them, it was like, what the heck is going on? No, nobody has ever done this. Dead people stay dead and they never come out of a tomb. So for them to experience the resurrection of Jesus, and probably that would have helped them put some pieces together of the gospel, of all the experience of life with Jesus. But they also, as the gospel tells us, they would have been absolutely petrified of the experience of, now he is dead, Jesus is dead, so they're coming for us. Probably they're going to come and kill us, all of us now. So they're hiding in a house. Suddenly, the doors opens, the women walking in, which is just a miracle in itself, have the women walking in recorded. That would have never been recorded in normal first century history. And to say, Jesus is not there, he's been resurrected, and they all run their back again and then see Jesus and don't recognize him. It's just like, what? What's going on here? And
Yeah.
then they say to him, why are you looking for the living among the dead? That just would have been just something amazing, really. So yeah, I think the resurrection.
Yeah, it must have been an incredible place and a thing to be actually there, as you say. And I love your answer there, Juan. You've summed that up so well. And would you rather eat at the Last Supper or watch Jesus feed 5,000?
It's another one. These questions are so challenging, and whoever put them really thought them through. um, I think that the Last Supper for me would have to be, um, again, will have to be the Last Supper. I think every time that I look at the whole account of just hours before Jesus was betrayed and before the Jesus Last Supper, and I read it, it's so many things that are happening that we, again, as we were talking before the interview, because we are looking at it from the other side of the cross, they would not have understood. And but yeah, but the Last Supper would have to be just incredible. To see Jesus establishing a new covenant. That would have been mind blowing for the people. They would not have grasped, they would not have understood what he was talking about. That would have been, I don't know how long we have for talking about it, but that would have been like it comes, Christmas comes along, and the pastor was in the church. We all have Holy Communion, and then the pastor turns around and he says, "Well, for the last so many years we were having communion and we all remembering Jesus. Well, from now on, I don't want you to remember Jesus. I want you to remember me." That would have been like us, because the whole ceremony of Passover was about remembering the Passover, the Jew, the Moses, the history of the Jews. That's what it was all about. And now suddenly he says, every time that you do this again, don't remember that anymore. Remember me. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that would have been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, just to have sat there and taken it all in would have been quite something, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, would you rather walk on the water or watch Jesus turn water into wine?
That's just a challenging one again. I mean, obviously, walking on water would have to be something incredible. So it would be turning water into wine. But I think that walking on water would be something else,
Yeah.
break all break all barriers of nature and seeing a miracle perform in the way that was performed. And the lessons that the disciples would have learned out of that as well about trust, taking away fear and all this. So it would have been just, yeah, but I mean, maybe walking on water.
Yeah, there's lots of things you can get from that, as you say, seeing the trust as well, and that would be really an important factor there. So yeah, I can understand why you chose that one. So would you rather sit at the feet of Jesus like Mary or serve like Martha?
Oof. I guess it will have to be sitting at the feet of Jesus. Again, it's very difficult because for us, we know who Jesus is, we understand all about Jesus, but at that time, they would not understand everything that we know about Jesus. So to be able to watch Mary with Jesus and listening to his teaching and just trying to take it all in and trying to understand and trying to make sense of the things that he would be saying, which they would have been so revolutionary. And I think it would have been sitting at the feet of Jesus.
Yeah, I think it would have been incredible to been like a fly on the wall, so to speak, seeing
Yeah,
some of those actual events. What do you
yes,
think?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, it's so much that we're missing sometimes. I
Yeah.
personally think there's a lot that we're missing because we are so prone to look at everything when we read the scriptures, to look at them from our perspective as a Christian.
Right.
They would not have seen it like that. They
No.
would have experiences from a whole different point of view as a Jew person. And the meanings would have been different at the time than why we have and what we think ourselves. So very quickly, there is one thing that I'm always used on this issue is that Jesus says to his disciples, he says, love one another as I have loved you.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to ask you, how did Jesus love us? Normally, for a Christian, we would say, well, Jesus loved me because he died on the cross for me.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. But Jesus asked this to the disciples before he was crucified.
Yeah.
They would not have thought that. So, what would they have thought when he told them, love one another as I have loved you?
Yes. Yeah.
You will have there somebody sitting there called Jonathan. And for example, how did Jesus love Jonathan? And maybe, I don't know, maybe through his head when the time when he was called by Jesus. So Jesus calls Philip, and Philip says, I'm going to go and call my best friend. And Jesus said, yeah, that's fine. So Philip goes to Jonathan and he says to him, he said, Jonathan, come with me. I have found the man that we've been looking for, the Messiah,
Mm.
Jesus of Nazareth. And what did Jonathan says? Jonathan looks at Philip and he says, hang on a minute, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Basically, he just shamed Jesus. He shamed his family, he shamed his town, he shamed where he came from. He laughed at him, saying, you can be of no good. Yes, Jesus says to him, come, follow me. So it's just a whole different perspective when you look at it. Peter, how does Jesus love Peter? Well, Jesus loved Peter in medieval times when he betrayed him, when he left him alone. And yet that would have gone through their heads.
Of
No, the idea
course.
of Jesus died for me. So it's anyway.
Yeah. Yes,
What?
looking back then and
Then, yeah,
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But looking at it from before the crucifixion, what they would have understood. Because for us, yeah, fine, we look at it and we understand it from the other side of the cross, from the crucifixion point of view, which is rightly so. But at that time, to them, they would not have the understanding and the revelation that we have.
No.
It would have
No.
been totally different. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
One,
of things.
I'm loving those. I'm loving what you're saying there. So thank you for bringing that out. That's brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.